Obviously, you've been with the team, but this is obviously different for you. How much different is it this year than compared to years past?
Well, obviously, it's very different in that now I'm the one making the decisions and having to sleep with those decisions too, right? So I was joking with Elmar the other day on the phone. I said usually I would give you some advice, and then whether you took it or left it, I could sleep at night regardless. And so now it's a little different in that I got to live with those decisions, and so I'm having fun.
22 years ago, you were a player here, National Player of the Year. Now you're the head coach. Just this journey that you traveled, what does it mean?
Oh, it means a lot to me. You know, when I was here as a student athlete, I always knew Omaha was a special place, and I knew at some point I'd want to come back and raise my family here. And the community here and Creighton was a big part of that. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to come back a second time.
What's the biggest thing you learned from Elmar during his time here?
You know, Elmar was, for me, an educator of the game. I like the fact that our style of play is free-flowing, and that won't change. We'll continue to have that free-flowing style. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway for me, in that we're not necessarily a formation-type team. We're a free-flowing, exciting, wide-open style of play.
What are some realistic goals for this year's squad, you think?
Well, definitely want to try and get back to the tournament, which we missed now for the last 2 consecutive seasons, which is the first time in our program's history. So that's, for me, first and foremost, probably our biggest goal. And continue to be a dominant team in both the Big East and on the national scene.
What do you think of this turf?
This turf's amazing. For me, it makes a big difference. I think the fan will see a difference as well. I think it'll change the roll of the ball a little bit. It'll slow the game down a bit in regards to crazy bounces and balls running out of bounds. Not necessarily in the way we play, but I think it'll definitely be more exciting for the fans to watch.
Johnny, we were talking to the players. They're so excited about you being the head coach. Are you a player's coach? What kind of coach are you going to be as a head coach?
You know, I've always enjoyed players' coaches in my career, and so I want to try and be that way as well, and I want the guys to feel comfortable with me as their coach. Obviously, I want them to understand that I'm the person in charge, but I also want them to be able to want to play for me. I did have a couple of players' coaches, and I enjoyed playing for those guys.
I want to ask you about Bob Warming. We discussed the spirit of soccer in this community and where it is right now, and it was starting to attract attention, popularity when you came here. Where is this right now in this community with a professional team coming in? Where is soccer right now in Omaha?
Yeah, no, I think it's exciting knowing now that, you know, Jason Mims coming in and back into town to bring a pro team. The women having success. Our national team just winning a World Cup. I think says a lot about the sport and where it's going in the country. You know, Atlanta United won a Campeones Cup last night. First time an MLS team's ever done that in soccer history. So I think it's all over the country. Luckily for us, it's a big part of our Omaha community, and we're just excited to be able to be part of it.
Bryce was saying, you know, how you've taught him that, you know, he can't be so emotional out there because you had to go through that as a player. I mean, do you use your player experiences when you coach your current players at all?
You know, I think for me, it helps to have some experience as a player, but I don't think that that's something that's detrimental if you don't have as a coach. I mean, there's a lot of great coaches that weren't necessarily players, and so I think for me it's just a matter of finding a balance between the coaching side of things and the experiences that I might have gained through the game, and, you know, not look so much into one way or the other.
Johnny, did you sit down and when you took the job, did you map out sort of an idea of, hey, I want to accomplish this, this, and this, not necessarily in terms of winning matches, but maybe tweaking the culture to maybe fit how you wanted it, or hey, we're going to practice in this certain way, or
right?
Did you set
goals
like that, or?
I think for me it's more of a standard. I think our program's history dictates what kind of standard we have at Creighton, and for me, part of my challenge is to be able to withhold that standard and to hold our players accountable to make sure that we're getting to that standard. And for me, where I started was we wanted to make sure we educate our guys on our program's history. I think there's some guys that come into our program not knowing our history. I think once they're educated on our history and they understand what it is they're embarking on to be part of this program, I think now we can hold them up to those standards that we're looking for.
Gotcha. How'd you do that? I just out of curiosity. Did you sit them down, or is it a constant thing? Or
We've talked about it.
Okay.
We've also done some upgrades to our locker room where it shows some of those accolades that we have as a team and some of the successes that our program has had in the past.
Yeah, a couple of guys said the culture, part of the culture, it wasn't knocking Elmar, but he having played here, going through and being an assistant here, that this university means so much. Not that it didn't with Elmar, but that it shows to those players what it means to play for Creighton. That message getting through, what does that mean?
Absolutely. No, for me, that means a lot for me. And part of that culture, too, is in regards to our community and how it's our responsibility to give back. One of the things we talk about is the 20 hours that the NCAA mandates that you give back to the community and community outreach that's nothing. And so what I tell our guys is, especially nowadays where you see so much negative media about professional athletes and collegiate athletes in the negative eye, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're doing something good for our community and giving back to the people that support us.
You mentioned off the top that you got to make decisions. It could affect your sleeping patterns. Have your sleeping patterns been affected, or are you sleeping okay?
That's for sure, but I got 3 kids and a 4th on the way, so that doesn't matter
part
anyway.
Of it. Yeah, you were going to be sleeping well anyway.
You're not going to be sleeping for a while.
But
yeah, I hear you.
That idea of taking on added responsibility, about for a guy who's as passionate about Creighton as you are, and you obviously want to see this program succeed and get back to where you think the standard is.
Absolutely.
How much pressure is there? Pressure, or I don't know.
No,
responsibility? Is that?
Obviously the responsibility is there. I wouldn't say there's any added pressure. I'm enjoying every day. I think the guys are enjoying it, and we're up for the challenge. I wouldn't say there's any added pressure, but I do know and understand that there's some responsibility.
Right.
Cool. Good stuff. Thank you, guys.
Well, tell me what this year means to you.
I would say, not only for me, but for all of us, it means everything. We are blessed to play soccer here for Creighton. And we have the great ability to start off with 3 amazing games. We have the powerhouse against UNC, Wake Forest and Akron. And we're all looking forward to these games. It's a really high level we can play on. And we're all excited to start the season.
Some of the players talked about obviously passing, how it's differently on the field as a goalkeeper. How it's different for you diving?
It is. It's way softer on our bodies, not only for my, but for all of our goalkeeper group. Yeah. And if we come to passing, you can see, you will see that the ball is moving way faster for us, especially if it's a little bit wet. It's not as bouncing as much, so it takes out a lot of risk for me in the back, especially if I have to distribute the ball in the beginning, if I open up the game. And it gives us way more options to actually play out of pressure, or if we get the pressure against good teams, to overplay them, pack them, and then play quicker to the front for the forwards.
Johnny Torres, your new head coach. What's it mean to have him running this team?
It's amazing. So first of all, Johnny was the main character to bring me to Creighton. That's why I have a very tight connection to him. And he takes a lot of pride in being here. Just with the history he has, being here as a player, leaving for being professional and coming back as assistant coach means a lot to us. He brings so much into this program, and leads us players in a way, either if it's going professional or leading to going with our lives as being an adult. And he's an amazing coach, and I couldn't imagine him with someone else.
You had a big year too in goal last year. What are kind of your expectations for this season?
Well, of course, so I want to develop my own game, but for me, I know that personal success comes only with team success. So I try to put everything into our team, try to be successful as a team, and everything else comes along with our success.
I'm good.
All right.
Let's just talk a little bit about the turf and just what's it like for you guys. How fun is it, to play on this and just, it can be kind of an exciting way to go into the season.
Yeah, definitely. The turf is a big part of our field because the surface in the past wasn't really great, So, and that, it was really hard to play on that surface. So we're really happy to get that amazing surface right now, and just the ball just rolls differently, and it's just exciting to go out now.
What are some goals for this year's team?
So goal definitely is to win the first game. I mean, obviously that's every team's goal, and then we just want to go from there. There's no real goal. Obviously, we want to defend our Big East title, but we actually just want to look from game to game and just want to make sure that we win our games.
Specifically, where do you think the strengths of this team could be?
I think strength of this team is that we are really experienced team. We have a lot of old guys, a lot of upperclassmen. I think that's a real strength of us. Secondly, I think that we're a soccer playing team, which means that we are able to connect our passes good, and we can play soccer with 2 touch or less.
What does it mean to have Johnny Torres as your head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Johnny since my freshman year. He's been our assistant coach, obviously, and I was really happy that he got appointed the head coach after Elmar. Elmar was a great coach, and I think Johnny learned a lot from him. And Johnny just, brings both to the table, Elmar's strength and his own strength. So I think Johnny's an amazing coach, and I think he can bring us even further.
What have you learned from him?
I learned a lot. I actually learned a lot about culture, about self-discipline, and just about composure on the field. When I got here, I was, emotional on the field, and sometimes a little bit too emotional. And Johnny, as a coach who played soccer himself, he, took me a little bit under his wing and told me that he was the same way, kind of, and told me how to, control myself and, get into the right composure.
One of your leading goal scorers obviously graduated last year. Kind of, how do you kind of replace that void?
Yeah, I think it's hard to replace a void with just one player. I think the void has been must be filled with the whole team, not only one player, and it's our responsibility to fill that void. But I think we would do wrong to any striker to tell him that he has to fill the void by himself.
It means everything, honestly. It comes to a point after a few years where you realize you spent your time, and it's all coming to a culmination. Got a great group of guys that I know we can do good things with. So, like I said, it means everything. I'm excited for the opportunity.
How different is it this year having Johnny as the head coach?
Johnny's been here since I've been here. He's been here much longer, as you guys know. And having him at the head coach spot is really, I think, kind of opened how the players see the culture, how they see Creighton as a university. He holds those values very true to himself. Creighton is a big part of his life, and he shows that to us every day. He kind of helps us to emulate that. So,
what do you think can be good about this year's team?
I've kind of touched on it already, but I think the culture is a huge part. The new guys that have come in have already been a huge part of what we're trying to do here. They bring a lot to the table, and as well as the old guys. Everyone's super close. It's a great atmosphere. Every practice, every team event, and there's some great talent. So I'd say the personnel and how well we connect with each other is going to do big things for us.
Team goals this year?
We like to take things slow. I don't think. I mean, obviously, everyone's gunning for a national title, and that is in the cards for us. Is what we hope to do. But we're focusing on game by game. The way college is set up, college soccer is you have multiple games a week maybe. So we have to take things step by step. We look to one game at a time, and we take each as its own challenge.
How about this new field you have?
It's beautiful. It's everything we could have asked for. Being here multiple years and playing on the previous turf, and having the opportunity to play here on this turf is, everything we could ask for. A lot of times I heard from opponents, friends, that the turf, was like the only thing that we were kind of missing in the stadium. Great atmosphere, great fans, great environment, but the turf was maybe, like holding us back a bit. But yeah, it's great to have it. It's amazing.
How is it? What's the difference?
It's just a lot of it is how well the ball moves. Honestly, especially from my standpoint, being the last line of defense other than our goalie, we have to be careful with our how well we play the ball to our next teammate. Just making sure that your teammate can receive the ball and have time without it bouncing up A lot of times on the old turf, you'd play a ball that's smooth and it would bounce up, as well as how it, it's a little less hard on your body, joints and stuff like that. So
it plays faster?
yeah, for sure. And I think even if the field's not wet, a lot of times we had to wet the field to make the ball move and roll smoothly. But yeah,
The balls bounce more true?
yeah, exactly. It's not like the ball's bouncing on a hard surface. It kind of gives like a soccer grass field.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks, Brian. Thank you.